I've been stuck in a limbo for the past year with my living room. No matter what I do, buying a new lamp, moving a chair, it just didn't work. I think a lot of us can relate to this, whether you're into a quiet, neutral palette or vibrant color combinations. The key is how the colors are married to one another. And that is what decides if a room feels finished or just messy. Hey guys, it's been a minute. I took a little bit of break from content creation, but I wanted to kind of get back to it and start making more content about the things that I've done over the past 4 months, the renovations, the changes that I meant to implement but didn't have time to. I finally did some of those and I'm happy to show you guys what I did with the space. I've been stuck in a limbo for the past year with my living room. No matter what I do, it just didn't work, and it felt like the room had its own gravity, and it was so dark, and I kept adding stuff to fix it, but it only made it worse, and it ended up looking like this. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a color expert. I'm not pretending to be one. I'm also learning as you are. But I'm starting to wrap my head around what's breaking this marriage of colors in my living room. And it all started with orange and blue. My reason for picking them was kind of stupid because orange is my favorite color. So I had that in my bag and I had a leftover tub of turquoise and teal paint, which happens to be a complementary color to orange. So I thought, perfect. But blue and orange is often used in action movies. For example, cinema uses it to charge a scene with energy. It's loud, it's dynamic, and it's the opposite of coziness. And I try to tone them down with warmer versions of the colors, and I try to bridge them by distracting my eyes with black accent pieces, like the metal coffee table and the black shelves and yada yada yada. But the more I added, the worse it got. And it took removing most of black furniture to realize that it wasn't just how crowded the space was, but the lack of hierarchy. So I went back to the drawing board and to this specific book from design school, a dictionary to color combinations. My color theory professor said she uses for her own project. So if it's good enough for her, it's good enough for me. And this book doesn't really tell you about the color theories itself, but it shows you and presents you with working color combinations. Color has 3 elements: the actual color, the hue, the saturation, and the brightness. And human eyes are way more sensitive to brightness than the actual colors. And you can change the tone of the color by adding white or black to the color. As you can see, the color combination 85 on this book is the color palette that I chose for this room. And the color combination 244 is an extended version of that color palette, which has 2 more colors that are toned down from the original complementary colors. And what this shows me is that when you're mixing different colors, or when you're expanding your color palette, you also have to think about the tonality. And this makes a lot more sense when you look in the grayscale, because you're not able to really discern without proper training. But if you look at it in grayscale, this explains everything. My armchair, my sofa, my blue wall are almost exactly the same level of darkness. In terms of weight, they are all shouting at the same volume. And these color palettes that you can see in this book, especially this one, you can see that these colors look more harmonious because they've already established a hierarchy by these differing tones and brightness. And the color combination on the book showed me that the tonality is the key to combining the colors. What that means is that I need to combine high contrast colors with more less saturated versions of the colors or adjacent colors. So if you look at it with a camera lens or monochromatic filters, then you can actually tell that these color combinations have differing tonality. Like they are not all the same darkness or brightness, which kind of brings everything together, because without us knowing, our eyes already perceive the darkness and can establish hierarchy between the colors. Let's look at it in grayscale. This explains everything. My armchair, my sofa, the blue wall are almost the exact same level of darkness. In terms of weight, they're all shouting at the same volume. My black coffee table wasn't just a piece of furniture, it was a black hole sitting in the middle of a big, dark mess. No wonder the room felt so heavy, right? My first mistake was to fill the room with dark masses that competed with one another and the background. And my second mistake was only using shades of orange with wood and leather and textile without actually bridging the orange to the blue. Basically, I needed to blend these harsh contours. Otherwise, I looked like an unblended bead on a drag queen's face. And you see the line of where the bronzer stops and the shadow begins. We need to blend it out. We don't want to look crossy, right? Since the couch and the blue wall have almost the same level of darkness or brightness, the couch has to be the main character in this case, not to mention the volume of it. So naturally, everything else would have to take a back seat. Even the couch itself needed to create some kind of distance between the wall and itself. So to give it some visual distance, I'm using a blanket that borrows the colors from the wall, but not as bright or vibrant as the wall itself, but somewhat toned down, so that it's not competing with the wall, but it works with the wall. Once we've established that couch is the main character of this scene, we have to look at the supporting roles, specifically this armchair that I'm sitting in and how it relates to the background, the TV shelf. In my old setup, the armchair was fighting for the spotlight, right? It was a dark mess, just like the sofa, but in a room this size, you can't have two divas. If everything is trying to fight for the focal point, nothing is at focal point. You know what I mean? So the best move for a supporting role is to blend everything in. I want the armchair to almost dissolve into its surrounding. By keeping its tonality closer to the TV shelf behind it, I'm lowering its volume by matching the fabric of the armchair to the curtains on the TV shelf. So they stop being a distraction and start being part of the architecture. We're quieting the room down so that the main character, couch, can actually do its job without the armchair fighting for the lead role. Then there is the center of the room. I almost got another wooden table, but the room was already brimming with wood. I needed breathing room. So I went with this boiler tab coffee table. It is glass, but it's also waffled glass and frosted. So this is a huge win for a small room because it is semi-translucent, transparent. It takes up less visual real estate and it lets light through. It plays with the rug underneath it, the pattern, and it introduces hard materials like glass and the warm copper metal in a room that was drowning in soft textile and wood, and it lets the room breathe. Finally, the wall divide. Some dark colors recede to our eyes, so they give depth but also a stark contrast between the white and blue. So I'm looking for art that helps the colors transition smoothly and give the eye somewhere else to travel to. Think of it as ombre effect. The white ceiling is high key, the brightness, and the blue wall is the low key, the darkness. I need the middle tones to bridge the gap so that the colors become friends and not fiends. And finally, out of the limbo, the room doesn't feel like a black hole anymore. It's not about having less color, it's about managing the weight of those colors. If your room feels off, maybe try to look at it and the grayscale trick. It might just show you where your black holes are. All right, that's it for me tonight. I hope this was thought-provoking for you guys and maybe help you guys with the dilemma that you find yourselves in with your own designs. And I will come back to you with more content in the future. Thanks for coming back again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.